Ekabo, and welcome to another live stream of the Ijuba Ode Otun Fridays live. As usual, I'm your host, Ifa Adifonchu Orisha Bemi, and today's stream we are going to discuss establishing morning Iba. We're going to talk a little bit about Ori appeasement and sacred cleansing, as well as we are also going to talk about actionable awareness. The reason we're having these discussions is to introduce some of the practical aspects of the Ifa cosmology. All right, and before I go any further, let me offer the Iba. Opweni fu olorun, oludumare oba jiki, mojiloni, mowogun meriaye. Iba ila orun, Iba iwo orun, Iba ariwa, Iba gusu, Iba oba egba aye. Iba orun oke, Iba baba, Iba yeye, Iba atiwo orun. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Okay, so let me begin with today's discussion. We have done several videos on decolonizing the mind, on the truth, and also on different methods of developing oneself with Iwa Pele. All right, now, in terms of our practice as Ifa devotees or as persons trying to develop good character for the non-devotees, there are particular rituals that serve as very important rites that we should practice in order to move us forward to where we need to be on the road for progress and for self-development. So let me talk briefly about each of these three things that we are going to be introducing in various ways. Now, establishing Iba, which means to give thanks, establishing gratitude is a very important aspect of the Ifa cosmology. Most of what we do in the sense of community heavily depends on our ability to be thankful for the things that we have, for the people who we work with, for the people who assist us, to the elders who are present, to the ancestors who assist us, to the Iromoles and to the Orisha, and importantly to our Ori, because our Ori is the supreme divinity, okay, meaning it is our head and governing Orisha. All right, so hence it is important for us to establish Iba, which is giving thanks. Now, the second and most important thing is, after giving thanks or a general Iba, one of the things we must do on a daily basis is we must appease our Ori. Okay, and at this level, what I would be doing is just introducing a very simple and basic ritual associated to the Ori for the appeasement, and it's also a means of cleansing yourself on a daily basis in a ritual form. All right, now the last thing that we would be introducing is what I refer here to as actionable awareness. We're going to be looking at things like taboos. All right, and then when we do the full stream on it, I would explain the different categories and the importance of taboos as a form of spiritual guidance and protection. All right, so look forward to that series. We're going to have a study series on our YouTube page where you could actually look at the related videos to these three subjects: establishing morning Ibas, Ori appeasement or sacred cleansing, and actionable awareness, which would include the consciousness of your taboos, recognizing them and knowing how to avoid the things that you are advised to avoid. All right? And we're now going to move forward, and we are going to be doing our normal weekly reading. We're going to start off reading this book that is called Immigration into the West Indies in the 19th Century by K.O. Laurence. All right, and as usual, I give a little context. What this book gets into is describing the labor situation in Trinidad and a couple of other Caribbean islands at the end of the apprenticeship period after emancipation around 1834. All right. In its earliest stage, immigration into the West Indies was financed largely by the employers themselves, using their private funds. When the British colonial governments entered the field in 1839 to 1840 by offering bounties, additional taxation was soon necessary, and the distribution of the huge cost of the subsequent immigration schemes between the general revenue and taxes paid by the sugar planters in particular, as those gaining most direct benefits from immigration, became one of the vital and recurrent problems of immigration. The opening of Indian immigration in 1844 at an estimated cost, including return passage, of about $120 per head, imposed a quite unprecedented burden. Efforts to raise immigration loans in London met with little success in the crisis period of 1846 to 1848. When the credit of the West Indies vanished and the heavy cost of Indian immigration was an important factor in the financial crisis, the imperial government was forced to come to the rescue in 1848 with a loan of £200,000 to meet outstanding liabilities. In defiance of all recent precedents and an undertaking to pay the cost of transporting liberated Africans who were in any case an imperial responsibility to the West Indies, it was agreed to guarantee a further loan of £500,000, mainly for immigration. When Indian immigration was resumed in 1850, the employers themselves were required to bear a large share of the ultimate cost of the imperial guaranteed loan. And when that was exhausted, of the annual cost of immigration by means of annual duties on each indenture, proposal for making the employers pay the whole cost of importing labor could already be heard, but eventually it was agreed that they should pay £50 in respect of each indentured Indian immigrant, leaving the balance to be met from general revenues, where immigrants were imported on bounty without contract. the whole cost was thrown on the general revenue. All right, and that would be my reading from Immigration into the West Indies in the 19th Century by K.O. Laurence. And I would now move on to reading from Cedulants and Capitulants. All right, and to give a little context, this particular book was based on lectures that were given at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies by Professor Carl C. Campbell. This book is basically about the mulattoes who are referred to as colored. They were descendants of Moors and Portuguese, Moors and Spaniards, and it also included some French mulattoes who came during the cellular experiment. All right, so I'm going to continue reading from page 77, which is entitled The British Government. The British government did not have the opportunity actively to protect the free coloreds of Trinidad against unfriendly regulations between 1797 and 1824. This was because the regulations were not usually sent up to the British government, but were simply implemented by the soldier governors on security grounds. The normal correspondence between governors and the colonial office did not contain any discussion of these regulations, nor the regulations themselves, which became known to the colonial office